Good evening, members. Welcome you all to today's seminar on practical approach in tax audit. I am CA Chinta Raghunandan, SICASA chairman of Guntur branch, and today we have an eminent speaker with us, CA Nitta Ravikishore Garu from Vijayawada. Sir is a treasurer in the Vijayawada branch. CA Nitta Ravikishore Garu is a fellow member of Institute. He is practicing for the last 22 years. He is also a member of the Institute of Cost and Management Accountants of India. He holds a diploma in Information Systems Audit and honors in Systems Management. He is a faculty for direct and indirect taxes for the last several years and was a faculty for auditing for some years. He speaks at seminars organized by branches of ICAI, colleges and various trade bodies about current and emerging topics. He is a faculty for orientation programs of newly qualified cost accountants. He is also a YouTuber and his videos are watched by thousands of viewers. He is elected to the managing committee of Vijayawada branch of SARC of ICAI for the term 1922. For the year 21-22, he is a treasurer of Vijayawada branch. He is a member of taxation committee of AP Chamber of Commerce and Industry Federation of a state level body. With this introduction, I welcome today's speaker, CA Nitta Ravikishore Garu, to address our students. Sir, over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, CA Raghunandan Garu. A very good evening to one and all. Dear students, today we will be dealing about a practical approach to the tax audit. So let me start by sharing my screen. If I have the permission to share the screen, yes, I have the permission. So for any person to excel, మన తెలుగులో చెప్పాలి అంటే కనుక గొప్పవాళ్ళు కావాలి అంటే ఎందుకు ఏమిటి ఎలా అనేది తెలుసుకోవాలి. ఫస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఆల్ ఏ విషయంలో అయినా సరే. సో టు ప్రొటెక్ట్ why, what and how we should know about the tax audit. Now the tax audit is dealt by section 44AB of the Income Tax Act 1961. This section 44AB was introduced into the statute book by Finance Act 1984. The Finance Act 1984 has introduced this particular section 44AB into the statute book. Now, why this section 44AB? It is compulsory audit of accounts of certain persons carrying on business or profession. That you should understand. It is only in respect of those persons or certain persons, and that to those persons who should be carrying on business or profession. That is very, very important point that we need to understand. So if any person who does not have any income which is chargeable under the head income from business or profession, to that person this provision of section 44AB is not at all applicable. Now every Finance Act will have a memorandum attached to the Finance Act. This memorandum memorandum attached to the Finance Act contains the reasons for which a particular provision has been introduced into the statute book, or why there is an amendment in a particular provision. Now, as per the memorandum attached to the Finance Act 1984, which was later on also included, the reason for which this tax audit has been introduced has also been included in a CBDT circular which was issued later on. Now, as per that memorandum, what they are saying, the accounts are maintained by companies and are also they are required to get themselves audited. The erstwhile law of the Companies Act was introduced in 1956. Thereafter, we have this new Companies Act 2013. And also as per the Cooperative Societies Act 1912, the cooperative societies are required to get their books of accounts audited. But however, the other type of persons they do not have any obligation to get their books of accounts audited. So companies are getting their books of accounts audited. Cooperative societies are getting their books of accounts audited. Of course, the LLP Act was introduced at much later point of time. As per LLP Act also, all the LLPs are not required to get their books of accounts audited. Only they have a threshold limit in respect of a capital or a turnover. 25 lakhs capital contribution, 40 lakhs turnover. Only those, if they exceed the threshold limit, then only they are required to get their books of accounts audited under LLP Act. Right. So barring these few people, all the others do not have any statute which will compel them to get their books of accounts audited. So what they have thought is audit is required for other entities also. Now, why audit is required? A proper audit for tax purposes would ensure that the books of accounts and other records are properly maintained and they faithfully reflect the income of the taxpayer, and whatever deductions are claimed are correctly claimed. So the audit will ensure that proper books are maintained, the income is properly reflected, deductions are properly claimed as per the law. Now, such audit will help in checking the fraudulent practices. Not only that, it will help the administration of the tax laws to ascertain whether whatever accounts are there, they are showing the proper income computed as per law. As a first-hand information, if it is ensured that proper books are maintained, income is properly reflected, deductions are properly claimed, then those accounts which are presented before the tax authorities, if such accounts are presented to the tax authorities, the time of the tax authorities will be considerably saved, because they need not do routine verification, checking the correctness of the totals, what are the purchases, what are the sales, whether they are being properly accounted for. All these routine matters they need not check. So the time of the assessing officers would also be saved, and they can invest that time in other matters like investigation, etc. So this is the objective for which the tax audit has been introduced in the statute book. Now we will go through the provision of the tax audit per se. It is dealt by section 44 AB. It comprises of 5 clauses, clause A, B, C, D, and E. Now what does clause A state? Clause A states that tax audit is applicable to a person carrying on business if his total sales, turnover, gross receipts, as the case may be, in the business exceed 1 crore rupees in the previous year. So the first and foremost thing is the turnover or gross receipts or sales, etc., should cross how much? 1 crore. In the previous year. Previous year means 1st of April to 31st of March. However, a new amendment has been introduced into this subsection 2 years back, stating that if the aggregate of cash receipts and cash payments does not exceed 5%, then 1 crore will be replaced by 5 crores. So if your aggregate cash receipts or cash payments does not exceed 5%, the threshold limit will be increased to 5 crores from 1 crore. Means until 5 crores, you need not get your books of accounts audited under section 44 AB. Now further, the latest Finance Act has amended further to state that if your cash receipts or cash payments does not exceed 10 crores of rupee or 5%, the threshold limit of 1 crore will be replaced by 10 crores. The threshold limit of 1 crore will be replaced by 10 crores. That means until 10 crores, no need of tax audit, provided there is a rider and a condition that the cash receipts or cash payments should not exceed 5% of the total cash receipts or total cash payments. Now, what does a clause B state? Clause B states that if you are a person carrying on a profession, then gross receipts in the profession exceeds 50 lakhs of rupees in the previous year, then only you need to get your books of accounts audited under section 44AB. Now, what does clause C state? Clause C states that if your income is computable under section 44AE or 44BB or 44BBB, these are presumptive sections. 44AE means that person who is engaged in the business of plying, hiring, leasing of goods vehicles. 44BB and 44BBB refers to the what you call turnkey projects, etc., which are the businesses which are done by the non-residents. Now, if your income is computable under those provisions and you are not offering the minimum amount of presumptive income has to be offered under those sections, if you are offering an amount which is less than the presumptive income as per those sections, you are required to get your books of accounts audited. That is clause C. Then what about clause D? Suppose you are a person carrying on the profession, your income is chargeable under presumptive taxation under section 44ADA. 44ADA is applicable to you. Then 50% of your gross receipts should be offered as the net income from business. Your turnover should not exceed 50 lakhs. Your gross receipts should not exceed 50 lakhs. You are within 50 lakhs limit. You are carrying on the profession. Then you have to offer a minimum income of 50% as the net income from such a profession. Now you claim that your net income is less than that presumptive income. You claim that your net income is less than that presumptive income, and here twin conditions are required to be satisfied. Two conditions are required to be satisfied. What is that? You are claiming less than the presumptive income is point number one. What is point number two? Your income exceeds the maximum amount not chargeable to tax. Here the term used is income. Your income exceeds the maximum limit not chargeable to tax, that is 2,50,000 rupees if you happens to be an individual, right? Now here income means not only the income from the profession, but all the income, total income, which includes all other heads also, including business or profession, that you have to understand. So before proceeding into the form 3CB, 3CD per se, what we have to first of all understand why this tax audit has been introduced, and also who has to get their books of accounts audited. It is foremost important to understand who has to get his books of account audited before proceeding into the audit. First of all, we need to check whether the audit is applicable to him or not. So we are going through section 44AB. Now we have completed 4 subsections. One is clause A, means your turnover exceeds 1 crore, but your cash payments or cash receipts does not exceed 5% threshold limit. Currently it is 10 crores. Thereafter 44AE, ABB, BBBB. Okay. Next, you are not offering the presumptive income. Then you need to get your books of accounts audited. Then you are liable for presumptive income under section 44 ADA. You are not offering the presumptive income, and your income exceeds the maximum amount which is not chargeable to tax. Then you need to get your books of accounts audited. Now the tricky part lies in 44 ABE. The subclause E is somewhat tricky and difficult to understand, but if we put up some effort, we will be able to understand. SSE is carrying on business, and the provisions of section 44 AD4 are applicable to him. The first point is the provisions of 44 AD subsection 4 strikes him. That is the first point. The second condition that is required to be satisfied is his income. His income exceeds the maximum amount which is not chargeable to tax. Now let us assume he is an individual and his income exceeds 2,50,000. So what are the twin conditions that are required to be satisfied? And now mind you, the mark between these 2 points is end mark, end symbol. Means both the conditions are required to be satisfied if you are to fall in clause E of section 44 AB. What are the twin conditions? 44 AD4 has hit you and your income is greater than 2,50,000. Now when will section 44 AD subsection 4 will hit you? When will section 44 AD subsection 4 hit you? You will be covered under section 44 AD subsection 4 when an eligible assessee declares a profit for any previous year in accordance with the provisions of this section. Means as per section 44 AD, you have declared your income in any of the 5 years preceding that financial year. Right? You have declared that. You have declared your income under 44 AD. Means you have offered 8% or 6% of the gross receipts or turnover, as the case may be. You have offered in any of the previous year. Or for example, if you take the example of this year, for example, financial year 2020-21, you have offered your income under section 44 AD subsection 1. And you have declared profit for any of the 5 assessment years relevant to the previous year succeeding to such previous year, not in accordance with section 44 AD. So for the next 5 years, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So for 21-22, 22-23, 23-24, 24-25, and 25-26, you have not declared the income in accordance with the section 44 AD subsection 1. Then you are not eligible to claim the benefit of this section for the subsequent 5 years. So let us say in 2021, you declared it as per 44 AD subsection 1, then 5 years have not elapsed. In the succeeding year 21-22, you are not offering as per 44 AD subsection 1. Then automatically what will happen? Then along with this year, the subsequent 5, he shall not be eligible to claim the benefit of this section for 5 assessment years subsequent to the assessment year relevant to the previous year in which the profit has not been declared. So 21-22, you have not declared the profit in accordance with the 44 AD1. Then the next 5 years, you will not be eligible to come into section 44 AD. Now 44 AD are beneficial provisions. Means you need not maintain books of accounts. You need not get your books of accounts audited. Only you have to offer 8% of the gross receipts or turnover or 6% of the gross receipts or turnover, as the case may be. So you are not going to get the benefit of these provisions if you do not stay in that provision for a prescribed period. Then 44 AD subsection 4 will strike. If 44 AD subsection 4 strikes you, your income is more than the basic exemption limit, then you have to get your books of accounts audited. Now let us understand whether you are liable to get your books of accounts audited or not as per the provisions of section 44 AB with the help of some 2 or 3 examples. Now, let us say Mr. A or Mr. X has a business. Now, during the assessment year 1920, his turnover is 90 lakhs and he has offered a profit of 8%. Now, in the subsequent year, what happened? His turnover remains to be 90 lakhs, but he is offering income only at the rate of 5% of the turnover. Now, don't jump into the conclusion whether he needs to get his books of account audited under section 44 AB or not. As far as possible, try to be methodological and structural. You have to understand the question, or you have to try to solve the question in a structural or methodological manner. I will give you 30 seconds. You post your answers in the chat box. Kindly post your chat box, in the chat box your answers, whether for assessment year 2021 the tax audit is applicable in respect of Mr. X. Try to post your answer in the chat box. I will give you 30 seconds. Think of it and post it in the chat box. Whether the tax audit is applicable in this current example in respect of Mr. X. Yes or no? Are all of you with me listening? Post anything. Whether only you have 2 answers, yes or no. Tax audit not applicable. Not applicable. Not applicable. Someone says that it is applicable. Someone says not applicable. Not applicable. Not applicable. Right. Since some of you have answered, now let us understand this particular question in a structured manner. Let us go one by one in a structured manner. Now we are dealing with assessment year 2021. The turnover is 90 lakhs. The turnover is 90 lakhs. This person is a person carrying on business, right? Now first go through section 44 ABA. What is section 44 ABA? He is carrying on the business and his turnover exceeds 1 crore. Did his turnover exceeded 1 crore? No, turnover did not exceed 1 crore. So clause A is not applicable. Carrying on profession. This fellow is not carrying on profession. B is not applicable. This fellow is not covered under AE, BB, BBB. Is not applicable. C is not applicable to him. Come to D. For him, 44 ADA is applicable. No, it is not a profession. This fellow is carrying on the business. So 44 ADA is not applicable to him. Clause D is not applicable. Then come to clause E. SSC is carrying on the business. Provisions of section 44 AD subsection 4 are applicable to him. What is 44 AD for? 2 conditions. First condition is in the previous year he has offered under section 44 AD. Now is it yes or no? Yes. In the previous year he has offered under section 44 AD because he has offered 8%. So 44 AD he has offered. Next question. For this next 5 years, he should go for 44 AD. No, he's not going. Here he is breaking the rule. He is offering only 5%. So 44 AD subsection 4 strikes him. 44 AD strikes him. Not to fall under 44 AB subsection E, not only should 44 AD subsection 4 strike him, but also his income should be greater than 2.5 lakhs. Yes or no? Yes. So both the conditions of 44 AB E are satisfied. Therefore, this fellow should get his books of accounts audited under section 44 AB of the Income Tax Act. That is the answer. Okay. So someone posted in the chat box, what is that? Showing below deemed profit tax audit applicable. Right. Now let us go into the next illustration. This fellow has commenced his business only in the assessment year 2020-21. This is the first year in which he is commencing his business. Now, his turnover is 90 lakhs and he is offering a profit of 4,50,000, which is equivalent to 5% of the turnover. Now, answer in the chat box whether the provisions of section 44 AB are applicable to him. I will give you 30 seconds. Don't jump into the answer. Go in a structured manner. Clause A, B, C, D, E. You browse through all the subsections of the clause and you come to a conclusion. Your 30 seconds time starts now. You should answer. You have 30 seconds time. Three of you have answered. Two answered that it is not applicable. Three of you answered not applicable. Right. Let us go in a structured manner. This is the first year in which the business is commenced. Two more of you have answered that it is not applicable. Very good. I appreciate that all of you are participating in an interactive manner. Right. Now let us go in a structured manner. What is it? This is the first year in which the business is commenced. Point number one. Point number two, he is offering only 5% of the turnover as his income from business. Now let us go through the 44 ABA. Is it applicable? Not applicable. 44B, not applicable. 44C, not applicable. 44D, not applicable. Come to 44 ABE. What is E? Whether the provisions of 44 AD subsection 4 strike this person? No. When will 44 AD subsection 4 strike this person? Only when in the previous years, any of the 5 previous year preceding this previous year, you have opted for 44 AD subsection 1, and now without the lapse of 5 years, you are coming out of section 44 AD, then only your 44 AD subsection 4 will strike. Now, if 44 AD 4 does not strike you, then clause E is not at all applicable to you. So for you, A, B, C, D, E clauses, none of the 5 clauses are applicable to you. So you are not required to get your books of accounts audited under section 44 AB. No need. No need of audit. Now quickly move on to the next illustration. Now here what is happening? This fellow, this is the first year of the business for him. That is point number one. He is someone has raised his hand. One of the participant has raised his hand. So does he has Satya? Do you have any query? Any query? Or accidentally you have pressed that raise your hand? If you have any query, you may type in the chat box so that I will be such a. He has not filed in the previous year. the question or the fact that he does not have business income is a consideration in case what if he has offered 3%. You offer whatever you want. 44AB does not apply in that particular case because that person will never fall in any of the classes of 44AB, be it A, B, C, D, E. He will not come under any clause. So for him, the audit is not applicable as far as that illustration is concerned. We will move on to the next question. In this question, in the year 1920, there is no business for this fellow. Now he has commenced his business in the assessment year 2021. Right. Now his turnover is 1.5 crores. His turnover is 1.5 crores. He is offering 5%. Cash payments and cash receipts are less than 5%. Cash payments, sorry, not this one, this one. The turnover, there is no business in the previous year. The turnover is 1.5 crore and the profit is 5%. Now, whether the tax audit is applicable to this person, you have to answer. Your time starts now. Now I am allowing only 20 seconds for you to answer this question. Now, Raviteja says it is applicable. Arunachalam states it is applicable. Prudvi also applicable. Now, those of you who are saying that it is applicable, can you mention the clause number according to which this is applicable? Can you mention the clause number? I'll be more than happy if you mention the clause number also. Under which clause he will be subjected to audit? He will be subjected to audit under section 44AB subclause A. You are right. Clause A will be applicable to him. Why? What is clause A? Clause A, it will be applicable where your gross turnover, etc., 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 is more than 1 crore. Now, for this fellow, the provision is not applicable. Why? The cash receipts and payments are more than 5%. So for him, the provision additional threshold limit of 5 crores or 10 crores as the case may be is not applicable in this particular case. And he is not offering 8%. So for this fellow, if he would have offered 8%, he would have went into 44 AD subsection 1. He will go into presumptive income. If he would have offered 8%, for him, no need of tax audit, but he has offered only 5%. And his turnover exceeded 1 crore. And the additional threshold of 5 crores or 10 crores is not applicable to him. Thereby, this fellow is covered under 44 AB subclause or 44 AB clause A. This fellow will fall. Now we'll quickly move on to the next question. In the previous year, there is no business. In the previous year, there is no business. This year, you have 1.5 crore turnover and you are offering only 5%, but your cash payments and cash receipts are less than 5%. Now answer, is audit applicable, yes or no? Is audit applicable, yes or no? The audit is not applicable. Why? Because he has an enhanced threshold limit of 5 crores or 10 crores as the case may be. Finance Act 21 has enhanced the limit of 5 crores to 10 crores. So until assessment year 22-23, prior to that, 5 crores is applicable. Therefore, for him, he is not, the tax audit is not applicable because clause A is not applicable for him. Why clause A is not applicable for him? Though his turnover exceeded 1 crore, the proviso is applicable to him because his cash payments or cash receipts are less than 5%. So the enhanced limit of 5 crores or 10 crores as the case may be is applicable to him. Therefore, clause A is not applicable. B, C, D not applicable. Now come to E. When E will strike, only when you fall under 44 AD subsection 4. This fellow will not fall under 44 AD subsection 4 because in the previous year there is no business income. If there is no business income in any of the earlier 5 years, the question of striking 44 AD subsection 4 will not arise. Therefore, here tax audit is not applicable. That you have to understand. Now come to point number or question number E, which will be a bit tricky. Now for E and F, you should be careful. For E and F, you should be careful. Now come to this one. What happened during 1920? What happened? They have offered income under section 44 AD. They have offered income under section 44 AD because 8% they have offered. Now, what is happening in 2021? The turnover happens to be 1.5 crores. He is offering only 5% and his cash receipts are less than 5%. Now tell me whether tax audit is applicable to him, yes or no. Now tell me whether the tax audit is applicable to him, yes or no. Vinay says yes, Hari says yes, 44 ABE is applicable to him. Satya says yes. Very good. 3 of you have got it right. Why? Because for this fellow, 44 AB, A is not applicable. Though his turnover exceeded 1 crore, as per the proviso, you have an enhanced limit of 5 crores or 10 crores as the case may be, provided your cash receipts are less than 5%. Now what happened? Here the cash payments, cash receipts are less than 5%. So enhanced limit of 5 crores or 10 crores is applicable. His turnover is only 1.5 crores. So kabatti A is not applicable. B, C, D not applicable anyhow. Because he won't go into AE is not a professional, is not applicable, ADA is not applicable. Now come to E. What is E? 44 AD 4 should strike him and his income should be exceeding the 2,50,000. Now here it is satisfied because last year he has offered income under section 44 AD 8%. But this year what he is doing, he is not offering 8%. He is not utilizing the opportunity of 44 AD. He is offering only 5% of net profit. So he is falling under 44 AD subsection 4. And his income is exceeding 2,50,000. Income is 7,50,000. Therefore, he will fall under section 40. He will fall under section 44 AB clause E. He will fall. Therefore, tax audit is required. Now answer the last question. Last year he has offered 44 AD 8%. This year turnover is 1 crore 50 lakhs and his income is 1,50,000. He is offering only 1%. He claims that he has earned only 1,50,000 as his income, which is equivalent to 1% of the turnover. Now answer the question whether the audit is applicable in this case, yes or no. Not applicable, not applicable, not applicable. Why? Why it is not applicable? Why? Because the income did not exceed the basic exemption limit. Very good, Vinay and Niharika. Prudhviraj also, you have answered it correctly. For this fellow, 44AB A is not applicable because the provision states that if your cash payment, cash receipt less than 5%, no need. The threshold limit is 5 crores or 10 crores as the case may be. B, C, D not applicable. Come to E. Did 44 AD subsection 4 strike you? Yes, it has strike you because in 1920 you have opted 44 AD subsection 1, 8% you have offered as an income. In the subsequent year, you are offering less than 8%. Therefore, you are covered under 44 AD subsection 4. But in order to come within 44 AB subsection E, twin conditions are required to be satisfied. Not only 44 AD should subsection 4 should strike you, but also your income should exceed the exemption limit. In the given case, the income did not exceed the exemption limit. His income is only 1,50,000 rupees. The second sub condition is not satisfied. You will fall under 44 AB clause E only when two conditions are satisfied. In the given case, in 44 AB clause E, the first condition is satisfied, second condition is not satisfied. Thereby, 44 AB E is not applicable in this case. All the 5 clauses of 44 AB are not applicable. Thereby, this fellow is not required to get his books of account audited. So, friends, I think you got a sort of a clarity in as to who should get his books of accounts under section 44 AB. Now you have understood the 2 questions very clearly. Why this tax audit is required? What are the objectives for which this tax audit has been introduced? The objective for which this tax audit has been introduced should be kept in your mind so that you will carry out your audit in a most efficient manner. The government has introduced this particular provision of auditing of the books under the, and mind you, my dear friends, in no other country of the world, you have a concept of tax audit. It is only in our country we have the concept of tax audit. All the other countries have all the different kinds of audit, like company audit, like special audit, like investigation, etc., 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 etc. But they do not have a concept called tax audit. It is only in our country we have this concept of tax audit. So why you have to carry out the tax audit, you have understood. Who has to get his books of account audited, or who is required to, or who is eligible for a tax audit, you have understood. Now let us quickly go through section 44 ADA, because in one of the subclauses of this 44 AB, you have a reference to 44 AD. If you are covered under 44 AD and you are not offering the presumptive income and your income exceeds the basic exemption limit, then you are subjected to tax audit. So what is 44 ADA? It is applicable to resident. He should be a professional, notified profession that too, and his gross receipts does not exceed 50 lakhs. He should offer an income of 50% of the gross receipts as is net income from the profession. Now, what are notified professions? Legal, medical, engineering, architecture, accountancy, technical consultancy, and interior decoration, and any other profession as may be notified by the CBDT. Now, CBDT has a notified authorized representative as a notified profession. Film artist. Whom do you mean by film artist? Are film artists only Vishnu and Prakash Raj, who are going to contest the Maha elections, fighting each and every day in YouTube as well as all the channels of the TV? Are only those 2 persons called as artists? No. Film artist will include actor, cameraman, director, music director, art director, dance director, editor, singer, lyricist, story writer, screenplay writer, dialogue writer, dress designer. All these people are considered to be film artists, and all of them are covered under notified profession. That you should understand. Company secretary is a notified professional. Information technology is also a notified profession. Now, my dear friend, you should understand that these notified professionals are separate. What is there if you are carrying on business, or if you are carrying on notified profession? What is there? There is a concern, because if you are carrying on a business or a profession other than notified profession, you will fall in 44 AD. But there the threshold limit is 2 crores. But if you are a notified professional, you will come within the purview of 44 ADA. For you, the threshold limit is only 50 lakhs. So it is very, very important to understand the difference between a notified professional and a person carrying on the business or profession. Both are different, because one set of people will fall under 44 AD for whom the threshold limit is 2 crores. The income to be offered is 8% or 6%, as the case may be. But if you are a notified professional, you will fall under 44 ADA, and the income to be offered, if your turnover does not exceed, gross receipt does not exceed 50 lakhs, then you have to offer 50%. If you are not going to offer 50%, what will happen? And your income is greater than the 2,50,000 limit, then you will be subjected to tax audit under section 44 AB. That you should understand. So 44 AB, the threshold limit is dependent upon turnover or gross receipt or sales, etc., etc., etc. There is a commission agent who sells goods on behalf of his principal. If you are selling the goods on behalf of the principal, if it is not your turnover, that the sale figure, the sale of goods does not belong to you. So your turnover is only commission. So if the commission received by you exceeds 1 crore, then only you are subjected to tax audit. That you should understand. You are selling goods on behalf of another person, for which the consideration what you receive is only commission. In such a case, if the turnover is not yours, the amount for which the goods are sold is not yours, but it is of your principal. The consideration what you do for the service which you have rendered is only the commission. Then you will be subjected to tax audit. 44 AB will be applicable to you only when your commission exceeds the threshold limit of 1 crore. That you should understand. Friends, what will happen is, certain companies, most probably in respect of foreign companies, or where you have established the company in the months of February, March, etc., what will happen? Let us say some subsidiaries of foreign companies, for them, the financial year will be Jan to December. So their books of accounts, their financial statements will be for the period for January to December. But as far as a tax audit is concerned, the tax audit, and also as far as the income is concerned, the income of the previous year will be chargeable to income tax. Here you have to take the income of the previous year. Previous year means for you 1/4 to 31st March. Now a question arises as to, if a company get his books of accounts audited for which the year is calendar year, but as far as income tax is concerned, the income is to be computed for the previous year. Previous year matlab April 1st to 31st March. Then how it has to be dealt with? Though you adopt a calendar year for the purpose of your audit, as far as income tax is concerned, your income should be computed for the previous year, financial year, April to March. You have to prepare a separate set of financial statements. You have to prepare a separate set of financial statements covering from April to March. Now, in such a case, where the audit is carried out under the Company Act for the calendar year, then the form to be used for the purpose of tax audit is not a CACD, but you should use CBCD. So in respect of this kind of people, what you have to do is you have to use 3 CBCD. That you have to understand. Right? Now, my dear friends, whenever you are carrying out a tax audit, ensure that proper care is taken in preparation of the audit report. Of course, not only in the preparation of audit report, adequate care is to be taken, but at the time of audit also, you have to take utmost care. Why? Why? Because the government has decided that where the information provided in the tax audit report is incomplete or such non-committal replies are furnished, so as to render the remarks of the report meaningless. Now, such reports, if the assessing officer come across incomplete tax audit reports, or where the qualifications or remarks given in the audit report are not conclusive or they are vague, in such a case, what you have to do is the assessing officer has to inform the commissioner. The commissioner, with the permission of the higher authorities, they will report to the disciplinary committee of ICAI. So you should be very careful in not only carrying out the audit, but you should also be very careful in issuing the report also, that you should understand. Many courts, including the Supreme Court, have held that the provisions of section 44AB, which have been introduced into the statute book, are valid. They are valid. They are not unconstitutional. They are valid. Not only that, the statute book contains a special audit under section 142A. Some people have argued that there is already a provision in the statute for the commissioner to order an audit of accounts in certain circumstances. Again, introducing the provision of 44AB into the statute books will be duplication of audit. That's what they have argued. But the courts have held that 142A is different and it will not be invoked in all cases. Only in certain exceptional cases it will be invoked, having regard to the conditions mentioned in that particular provision, and it has nothing to do with section 44AB. Therefore 44AB is valid. Now, this 44AB will be applicable only when there is some income to be reported under the head of profits and gains from business or profession. If you are not covered, or if you are not going to offer any income under the business or profession, then the provisions of section 44AB will not apply to you. That you should understand. And also, at the time of applying the monetary threshold limit of 1 crore, suppose you are a trader as well as a job worker, then both the money will be added. Means sales from your trading activity as well as the gross receipts from your job work, both will be added in order to determine your threshold limit of 1 crore. Now, let us suppose an auditor has issued a tax audit report. Is it final? Can the SSC contest against the reporting that has been done by the auditor? Yes or no? Yes. Various courts have held it to be yes. Because who is the ultimate authority to assess the income of the SSC? It is the assessing officer. He may take the guidance of the tax audit report issued by the tax auditor. If something which is prejudicial to the interest of the SSC has been mentioned in the audit report by the tax auditor, can the SSC contest? Yes, definitely he can contest, because ultimately it is the assessing officer who has to deduce the income of the SSC. What will happen if you do not get your books of accounts audited, even though you are liable to get your books of accounts audited under section 44AB? What will happen? What will happen is you will be subjected to penalty under section 271B. There is a penalty of 0.5% of the turnover, etc., etc., etc. Now let us say a person did not maintain the books of accounts altogether. A person did not maintain accounts altogether. When will the question of audit comes? The question of audit comes only when there are books of accounts. If you did not maintain accounts itself, the question of audit does not come. And if the question of audit does not arise, penalty for not carrying out the audit will not also come. So if you do not maintain accounts, the penalty for not getting your accounts audited will not arise. But if you maintain at least some accounts, then the question of this penalty for not getting the books of accounts audited will arise. Now, if you are covered by section 44AB, you have to get your accounts audited by an accountant. Accountant has a definition. Only chartered accountants are eligible to carry out the tax audit. Only chartered accountants are eligible to carry out tax audit. You have to issue a report. That report has to be issued within the prescribed time period. That report has to be issued within the prescribed time period. What is the time period? 1 month prior to the due date for filing the return of income under section 139, subsection 1. What is the form in which you have to issue the report? The form in which you have to issue the report is given in rule 6G. Is given in rule number 6G. What does rule number 6G state? If you are a person carrying on business or profession and you are required to get your books of accounts audited under any other act, then the report should be in form 3CA. Report should be in form number 3CA. You are a person who is liable to get your books of accounts audited under any other law for timing in force in India. The audit report, the prescribed form is form 3CA. If you are a person not liable to get your books of accounts audited under any other act, then, or you did not get your books of accounts audited, means you are not covered by clause A, then the audit report should be in form 3CB. The audit report should be in form 3CB. The statement of particulars should be in form 3CD. The statement of particulars should be in form 3CD. So, let us say you are a company, you are required to get your books of accounts audited under the Companies Act 2013. And also you are liable to get a tax audit. Then your report will be in form 3CA, and the particulars will be in Form 3CD. You are a proprietor. You are not required to get your books of accounts audited and any law for time being in force in India. Report will be in 3CB plus additional reporting requirement under 3CD. 3CB and 3CD. Now tell me a question. I am appointed as an auditor to carry out the tax audit of X Limited. By mistake, what happened? In one of the column, I mentioned an item wrongly. Do I have any recourse? Do I have any, or let me put it this way. Will I be, what will you do if you omit any income while filing your return of income? You will revise your return. Now, is it possible for you to revise a tax audit report? Yes or no? Is it possible for you to revise your tax audit report? Yes or no? You have only two answers. Either it should be yes or it should be no. Type in your chat box. Lasya, Megha, Raviteja have answered that you can revise your tax audit report. Someone else has stated that you can't revise your tax audit report. Until last year, the tax audit report was not eligible to be revised. Of course, the e-filing was allowed. E-filing was allowed. But there is no statutory backing. There is no statutory backing for revision of tax audit report. But this year, they have brought in a new amendment in the Act stating that the audit report may be revised by the person by getting revised report of audit from an accountant duly signed and verified by such accountant. Furnish it before the end of the relevant assessment year. That to be furnished before the end of the relevant assessment year, only revision is possible if there is a payment by such person after furnishing the return under sub-rule 1(2), which necessitates recalculation of disallowance under section 40 or section 43B. Until last year, there is no statutory backing for revision of a tax audit report, even though you were allowed to file a tax audit report even after you have filed one report previously for that assessment year. This year, a new facility or the revision is permitted. Revision is for limited purpose. Someone has. When 143(1) issued, can we revise that due to mistake in audit report? 143(1) is issued. You can't revise a report, audit report. There is no statutory backing for revision of audit report until last year. Take it for granted. There is no statutory provision until last year. This year also, revision is enabled or revision is allowed to be made only in respect of two cases. What are those two cases? Section 40 and 43B. Let us take the example of 43B. Any tax, duty, cess, etc., which is provided to be payable as on 31st March, it will be allowed only on a actual payment basis it will be allowed only on actual payment basis, provided you have paid it within the due date for filing the return of income. This fellow came to me for audit. This fellow came to me for audit in the month of June. I gave tax audit report on June 30th. He made a provision on 31/3/2021, 50,000 GST payable. 50,000 GST payable. He has not paid by June 30th. Therefore, what I have done, I have reported that 50,000 is not paid by him. What will happen? That 50,000 will be added to his income. Let us say he filed the return on September 20th. But on September 19th, he paid the 50,000. So he has paid within the due date. Now, in such a case, this amount should not be disallowed. I gave the report on June 30th. I gave the report on June 30th. At that time, what happened? I told that this fellow did not pay. But after I have issued the report, before the due date for filing the return of income, he has paid that. Now, this amount should not be made disallowable. No. In such a case, the assessee can approach me for a revision. I can revise the report. Only for this limited purpose, you have the authority to revise the report. So, if you are liable to get your books of accounts audited under any other law, CA is applicable, else CB is applicable. For both of them, 3CD is applicable. For both of them, 3CD is applicable. So, my dear friends, you can download form number 3CD from the income tax website, which will look like this. It has various clauses. It has various clauses in part A and part B. So it has many clauses. What I suggest you is, it has 44 clauses. It has 44 clauses. What I suggest you is, when you find some time, you just go through all those provisions. Now, what I am going to do, I will discuss certain important certain important sections, or I will discuss certain important points where most of us will not consider the correct point which has to be reported. Before doing that, what we will do is, we will quickly go through the amendments which have been introduced in the form 3CD, which are applicable for assessment year 22-23. Most of you might have participated in the tax audit of the preceding year. I don't think any of you might have actually started a tax audit for assessment year 22-23, because this is not as enabled as it. It is not enabled as of now, right? We are expecting that it might be enabled by the month end or so. That too, it is a very optimistic time limit within which I am thinking that this filing of tax audit might be enabled. Currently, we are not able to upload the, because this form 3CA, 3CD or 3CB, 3CD are to be e-filed, Currently, we are not allowed to e-file. So most of the chartered accountants, I don't think they have come yet commenced the preparation of tax audit report. Of course, you may have commenced your audit, but the filing has not yet commenced. So before going into certain issues related to the audit report 3CD, particulars to be given in Form 3CD, let us quickly go through some of the amendments which are applicable for assessment year 22-23. A new clause 8A is introduced. Clause 18 and 32 are amended. 30C and 44 are deferred further. You have a permitted revision to the tax audit report. We have already discussed that. Only where there is a change in reporting of section 40 and section 43B. Only in those two cases, you will be eligible to revise your audit report. Now, a new clause 8A has been introduced. A new clause 8A has been introduced. Now, what is this? What is this 8A? This 8A is whether the SSE has opted for a taxation under 115BA, 115BAA, 115BAB, 115BAC or 115BAD is the question. You have to answer yes or no, and you have to answer the section which he has opted for. You have to answer yes or no, and you have to answer the section which he has opted. Whether the SSE has opted for taxation under these sections. Now, my dear friend, you should be very careful while answering this question. Now, what is 115 BSc or a BAD or let's go for 115 BSc. Now here for individuals or for individuals, what is there? If you want to opt for this new tax regime up to 2.5 lakhs nil, next to 2.5 lakh 5%, next 2.5 lakh 10%, next 2.5 15%, next 2.5 20%, so on and so forth. 30% will come at 15 lakhs. Only if your income exceeds 50 lakhs, then only 30% slab rate will strike you. Now, if your SSE has opted for 115 BSc and you have selected 115 BSc here, my dear friends, you should be careful that in 115 BSc, this fellow will not be allowed to claim certain deductions. For self-occupied property, no deduction for interest. If he has paid life insurance premium, he won't get deduction. 80C deduction not available. 80D not available. Now, if you mention yes here, you should be careful that when you go to the reporting under 6A, when you go to the reporting under chapter 6A, section wise details of deductions if admissible under chapter 6A, in this clause number 33, you should be careful that you have not mentioned section 80C 1,50,000 here. It is very, very important. So, in this year, if you are going to report that, be careful and ensure that if that SSE has opted for BSc, the other relevant clauses in the 3CD should be commensurating with the answer given by this SSE in 8A. Clause 18 and 17 have been amended. Clause number 17 and 18 have been amended. What are those amendments? 17. Clause number 17 and 18. What is 17? Where any land or building are both transferred during the previous year for a consideration less than the value adopted, stamp duty value 43 CA 4350 C. Now here, whether the provisions of section second provision to subsection 1 of 43 CA or fourth provision to clause 56, this is applicable, yes or no. If the consideration is less than the stamp duty value, you have a relaxation in the second provision to 43 CA. There is a relaxation of 10%. Now until 30th June, in respect of certain cases, there is a relaxation of 20% when compared to 20% or 10% on the actual consideration. Now that point has to be mentioned here. Now what about 18? Now, if somebody is opting, if a company is opting for concessional rate of tax of 15% or 22% or 20%, etc., etc., those BAB, BAC, BAA classes are there in 8A. Now, if you are opting for BAC or BAD, what will happen is certain portion of the depreciation is not available to you or brought forward things are not allowed. There you have to add it back to the WDV. Now in such cases, then adjustment is required. That adjustment is required to be mentioned here. So 8A is introduced. Because of 8A, there might be a requirement of addition in this here. So clause 18, there is an amendment. Not only that, there is an amendment in clause number 32 also. There is an amendment in clause number 32. What is the amendment in 32? There is an amendment in clause number 32. Now here, details of brought forward loss, depreciation, allowance, etc., etc. Now what is the amendment? Amounts as adjusted by withdrawal of addition, depreciation on account of opting for taxation under section 115 BSE or BAD. So if you have opted for 115 BSE or BAD under clause 8A, make sure that if there is any amount which is required to be reported in clause 32 in this column 6, that also should be taken care while carrying out the tax audit for assessment year 21-22. Clause number 36 has been omitted. Clause number 36 has been omitted from the form. What is 36? Okay, he has not given here that clause. Actually, one section is made inapplicable. So this clause 36 used to refer to that section. Since that section is not made applicable or made inapplicable, that they have deleted or omitted this clause number 36, that you should understand. Clause number 30C and clause number 44 are deferred. Means it will remain in the form, but until it is made applicable, you need not report. What is 30C? This what you call transfer pricing. Transfer pricing details have to be given under 30C. Impermissible avoidable agreement 96. Whether the SSE has entered into impermissible avoidance agreement as referred to in section 96 during the previous year, then those details are to be given. Now, for the current assessment year, you need not report this 30C because the reporting under clause number 30C has been deferred. The reporting under clause number 30C has been deferred. And also reporting under clause number 44 is also deferred. Reporting under clause 44 is also deferred. What is this? Total expenditure in respect of registered GST fellows. In respect of those people, certain information is required to be given. Now, this clause has also been deferred. This clause also been deferred. So, for carrying out the tax audit for assessment year 22-23, there are certain amendments which have been made in the form. Certain clauses have been introduced, certain clauses have been omitted, certain clauses have been amended. Now you have to keep in mind these revisions that have been made. After all, tax audit is an audit. It is an audit of general purpose financial statements. What are general purpose financial statements? Your profit and loss account, your balance sheet, your trial balance, your schedules, your notes on accounts. What are you going to report? You are going to report about the true and fairness. The fundamental accounting assumptions will also have to be followed. Right? Now, this psychological gameplay we should be able to withstand. Now, let us say certain tax audits might be conducted at the auditor office itself. Certain tax audit, certain portions of the tax audit might be conducted at the client's place. When you as an article assistant or an article clerk, if you visit the office of the business premises of the client to carry out the tax audit, it may sometimes happen that you are a first year or second year article students who have went to carry out the tax audit in one of the business premises. Now that fellow is a very experienced and a smart guy. What he will tell? He may praise you. You are a super guy. You are that guy. You are this guy. You have very much knowledge. The way you are checking is very much nice. Your previous seniors did not carry out the audit like this. You are verifying it in a very deep sense, etc., etc. He may tell. Now, with the praising of that person, you may get influenced. So you should not get influenced by the praising or the belittling of the other person. Sometimes what will that person tell you? No, what you are doing like this? Your seniors used to complete the work within 1 day. But already it is the 3rd or 4th day you have come to my business premises and still you are verifying. I don't think you are up to mark or you don't know how to carry out the audit. Your seniors did not do the audit like this. You are doing it very late. I don't think you have properly understood auditing, etc. They may tell you. You should not be influenced either by the praising of that person or by the belittling of that person. Right? That you should keep in mind. Audit report is to be issued by the auditor in form number CA or CB, as the case may be. 3CD is to be prepared by the SSE. 3CB is to be prepared by the SSE. Then what is the role of the auditor in 3CD? As I make a pardon, the 3CA, 3CB are the audit reports. to be issued by the auditor. Then what about 3CD? 3CD is a set of particulars containing 44 clauses. First of all, 3CD is to be prepared by the client. But what you might have observed is, in some cases or in many cases, you might have observed that the auditor might be collating the information in 3CD. But actually 3CD, the particulars ought to be prepared by the client or by the SSE. Then what is the responsibility of the auditor in respect of 3CD? The responsibility of the auditor in respect of 3CD is to verify the correctness of the information given by the SSE in form 3CD. To verify the correctness of the information given in 3CD. You have SA 700. In the audit report, in 3CA as well as 3CB, at the time of issuance of any report, you have to mention what is the auditor responsibility, what is the responsibility of the client. Both the things you have to mention in the body of your audit report. Most of you might have learned the SA 700. That is also applicable here. Now, as per auditing standards, you know that you should take an engagement letter. My dear friends, ICA has issued a guidance note on tax audit in 2014. Of course, it is due for revision. That is being prepared. We may expect that new guidance note on the tax audit maybe this year or latest by next year. You can expect a new guidance note on the tax audit. But currently, the guidance note is of 2014. If you go into the ICA website, you can find out the guidance note. Next, if you are carrying out a tax audit of an entity whose books of accounts have already been audited under any other law for time being in force, that audit might have been carried out by yourself or another auditor has audited under the Company Act, but you are appointed as this tax auditor. Either you yourself have carried out this statutory audit under the Company Act, or someone else has carried out the audit under Company Act. Make it a point that you go through the audit report before you proceed to carrying out the tax audit under 44AB. Before you proceed to tax audit under 44AB, make it a point that you go through the report of the report given under the any other law for time being in force. Particularly, you go through the notes on accounts, you will find certain information which is useful for the purpose of certain items which I have mentioned in Form 3CD. You also go through the CARO report in that audit report. As an annexure, there will be CARO reporting. You go through that. You will get certain information which will be useful for the purpose of your tax audit. This comparative analysis, ratio analysis, etc., etc. Now you are carrying out the tax audit of a proprietor. You are carrying out the tax audit of a partnership firm. Make it a point that you go through the capital account of the proprietor, you go through the capital account of the partners. You will find out certain information. You may find out certain credits. the proprietor has sold a property. The sale proceeds have been credited to his capital account. You have a point in 3CD wherein the land or building is transferred for a price which is less than the stamp duty value. Their reporting is required. Because this fellow being a proprietor, if he sells a residential building, he won't bring it into your profit and loss account. You can't find that item in the profit and loss account. You will find it only, you may find it only in the capital account. Documentation is a must. Documentation is a must. You also obtain 26As, balance confirmation. If you are doing the audit of a company, obtain the board minutes. You obtain the stock statement submitted to the bank. You obtain the previous year assessment orders. You obtain the computation of income of the last 5 years. You obtain the annual return filed with the ROC. So I'm afraid, but I could not complete at least a portion of what I have thought to tell you. So, Sir Raghunandan sir, to the extent possible, I went through some of the things which I wanted to convey. Of course, there are a lot of things that are required to be conveyed. Maybe another session might be useful, but for now, I'm afraid that I have run out of time. So with the given allotted time, I thought that I have conveyed at least some issues, thought-provoking issues, which the students, for them, it might be useful. So what do you say, sir? Shall we conclude?
Yes, sir, your wish, sir. We can have some one more session, sir. We will plan it, sir.
Yes, yes. So if we plan one more session, some 1.5 hour more session, we will be able to cover other points also.
Sure, okay. Sir. Sure, sir.
So thank you very much, Guntur branch and Raghunandan Garu and Chairman and Secretary of the Guntur branch for giving me this opportunity. Hope my deliberations will be useful, at least to some extent, in carrying out the audit of assessment year 22-23. What do you say?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your deliberately telling all the things, how tax is applicable, what are the steps we need to take, engagement letter, audit letter, and some practical aspects in the doing tax audit. And soon we will have one more session, sir, to complete other things and all for the students, because now it is a season. Maybe by this month end we need to start completely start uploading tax audit reports. Till now we all conducted tax audits, but I guess very few people only started filling the 3CD reports also. We might have one more session, students. The details will be let you know, and we are having one more session in the next week. The details will be shared to you. Please attend the meetings and the seminars from the Guntur branch. You will get the knowledge from the Guntur branch. Thank you, sir. Thanks for accepting our request and giving a very good seminar for our students. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, one and all.